Lupin III, Zenigata, and the Two Lupins. It came out a bit ago as a direct-to-internet release, or known as an ONA. I was able to get my hands on it and gave it a watch and wanted to provide my thoughts on it. Just to give a quick synopsis for those that don't know about this project, Lupin III, Zenigata, and the Two Lupins focuses on the story around a bombing incident at an airport with Lupin being the culprit. Come to find out that there's not one, but two Lupins in this story, and it's up to Zenigata to figure out why Lupin is doing this and who is the real one, all the while dealing with a government body trying to take Lupin out. It's a basic premise based on what we see in this trailer, but we do know that it connects to the new film, Immortal Bloodline, but in an unknown capacity. This is going to be more of a lax video with very limited footage, as all I can really show is the footage from the trailers that are available for this project. I picked some nice and calm video game music, so if you're down, then please get some work you need to do or grab a nice drink and snack and pop me to the side as I delve into my review of Lupin III, Zenigata, and the Two Lupins. Now, I'm not saying this as a Lupin fan, but I enjoyed the story for what it is. It's nothing revolutionary, but it does give a bit of characterization to Pops' role as a cop, which I appreciate. Pops has always been a true hero in terms of stopping the bad guys from doing bad things. In a way, this story tries to test his sense of justice after the complete travesty of the airport bombing that killed many innocent people, including a child he met with before then. Even more so throughout the story, as the central theme is focusing on one's sense of justice, as it defines it in different ways depending on who the person is. One sense of justice can be all bad guys are bad and must be taken down. One can be about being remembered as a hero at the expense of causing war against two countries attempting to create peace. One can be the elimination of a target by government's appointment to avoid an international crisis, no matter what it takes for the sake of national security. There are a few different perspectives that bounce throughout the story of who truly sees their justice shine through, and if justice is real or just an excuse for men in power. In the end, as you may expect, it's Pops who pulls through, although it may not be to his full satisfaction. Pops is very much the focal point of this story, but it doesn't exclude most of the remaining gang either. Lupin is clearly part of the story as there are two of them now, but Jigen is tagging along with him as well. Fujiko is doing her own thing as per usual, and Goemon is nowhere in sight until the very end of the ONA, where they depart for the island leading into the movie. Despite the story essentially leading the characters to the next steps of where the beginning of the new film starts, I really didn't care for that. In some ways, it felt unnecessary. I feel like this ONA didn't necessarily need to be made, since if you really just take away the fake Lupin aspect, not much in the story changes, aside from the solidification that Mamo very much exists and is making clones, which for many of us, we already knew. I felt that they could have added some time in the beginning of the movie for them to meet up and go on their way as they did at the end of the ONA, and include the full section of Zenigata tailing them to then include his involvement within the film. I definitely think Zenigata's dedicated message or part for himself is watered down because of that. Compared to the rest of the gang with their individual OVAs, it was necessary to go through their parts as we slowly went through and uncovered additional important details that related to the island or Mamo. Fake Lupin, in my opinion, was not necessary in this story. Fake Lupin's goal is to stop Lupin from getting to the island. He does this by making him the main suspect of the airplane bombing incident, which then makes him a target of assassination by the government due to the possibility of an international crisis, as we have two countries trying to do a peace treaty at the moment. He continues with 3 more bombing incidents, one that basically saves Lupin and Jigen from dying as they were caught by the government police at the time. Another is to capture and replace Fujiko as the performer in the peace parade, so he runs her off the road into a crash. Lastly is the planned assassination on Brelin to fuel international war for so-called benefit of peace and for his remembrance as a hero. Despite fake Lupin having a purpose in causing chaos, he constantly gets compared and is known not to be Lupin by the people who do know him, since he lacks style. Could be to showcase that although this fake Lupin is confirmed to be a clone of OG Lupin, they are two different people. I will say that I was right about fake Lupin's recklessness being shown throughout the ONA. He got roughed up in the car scene with Fujiko, he got his face partially burned in one of his bombing attempts, and got pushed into a building through the force of the explosion he caused in the parade. Polar opposite of how Lupin actually performs his own stunts, or performances, we shall say. All of this can possibly foreshadow the process on how a clone gets made based off of Mamo's interpretation of the person he is cloning. I don't want to get too far ahead of that though, so I'll leave it at that. I do think we needed more time and something more crucial than an international crisis that truthfully, I did not care for, as it doesn't feel important to anyone. This won't matter after this film, so nothing really sticks with you for the next piece that comes along, especially since the next one is the movie that got released not too long ago. Part of me does think that they did a shoddy attempt at a story to include ZENIGATA'S own section as the others got theirs. Backpedaling a bit, as I mentioned earlier, Fujiko is in this ONA as well. Not much of a role beside being the main performance girl that got sidelined very quickly by being bombed off the road, caught, stripped naked, why, and reveals that she was a spy for the president of this area we are in. They had a feeling Berlin, the bad guy, was up to something. Again, all not important to the grand scheme of things. Also, the necklace piece means nothing. Just a bonus for her and a whole lot of nothing for us when I talked about it in the reveal trailer breakdown. Can't be right every time in those breakdown videos, huh? Anyway, Fujiko shows up in the end to get herself with Lupin and Jigen to visit the island in the film. It very much feels that she was given something just for the sake of having her be in this ONA for no real reason. Goemon, on the other hand, was off training and met up with everyone at the end of the ONA as Lupin and Jigen got to their destination. Very much they didn't know what to do with his character. Everyone meets up at the spot where Lupin and Jigen get a plane to begin heading over to the island. Everyone except Pops. The cards you have probably already seen are invitations to go to the island. Pops does go to the island though, but just a different way after tracking down where the crew got their plane, and then leads to the movie. As you can see, as I talked about this ONA and the different pieces that make it up, it doesn't really seem like I had the greatest time with it. However, there are several things I really enjoyed about this that makes me think it's worth the watch. I mentioned a bit earlier, but I enjoyed ZENIGATA'S characterization and personality we see from him. Not very much we do see an integral plot point be used as a main motivator for him to figure something out and to stop the bad guy. What's touching and honestly something I enjoy about this story is that Pops is focused more on himself and his position as a cop, very much being the focal point and driving force behind this theme. Even when going against others' sense of justice, he may waver, but he continued forward with his own resolve. Pops wanted to find and pull through with his own sense of justice by getting answers, figuring out why things had to be the way they are. His determination is endearing and powerful, especially since we see him go through the ringer, being barely alive for a good chunk of this ONA, and he still manages to pull through. Call that plot armor as much as you want, since they'll never have the guts to kill a main character like this, but I enjoyed the moments that showcase his strength and humanity. ZENIGATA is the light at the end of that tunnel, and I felt that this ONA did a wonderful job showcasing that, despite it not entirely revolutionizing his character as I previously hoped for in the trailer breakdown video I did. Kudos to ZENIGATA'S voice actor for a superb performance as well in conveying such heavy themes and tones so eloquently. Despite not enjoying much of Lupin and Jigen's trek throughout the story, I always enjoyed the banter. Whether plot related or not, I always enjoyed the brief moments of them having a good time between them and alleviating the heaviness of the plot in any scenario. There are plenty of times that they're just shooting the breeze and I crack a smile, as I always love the chemistry that shows through in the dialogue and the actor's superb voice acting. Lastly, the animation is one of the things I really enjoyed about this ONA. One that really stands out to me is the brief fight scene between Lupin and ZENIGATA in the train. It doesn't take long at all, but the bounciness of the characters and weight of their punches during the fight very much came through the screen. Another moment, but extremely brief as well, is Lupin and fake Lupin's exchange in the final bombing incident. As Lupin attempts to reach for the detonator for the bomb, fake Lupin headbutts him and grabs his head to then do a quick laugh and immediate boom, changing his face from laughing at the pure chaos about to ensue and then to a weird blanket expression after saying boom. Touches like that, which happened throughout this ONA, makes this project come more alive and varied, and a little dark. Despite the negatives, there are some positives that allow this ONA to shine through and be a decent addition to the Lupin III media lineup we have received thus far. I definitely enjoyed this more than I did with Fujiko's Lie. I'm excited to see the film and what it has in store for the Lupin crew and how well it connects to this ONA. Are you guys excited? Have you seen this ONA, and if so, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time guys, see you in the next video and take care, stay Lupintic.